Somewhere beyond the horizon. He stands there at the edge of the cliff, reminiscing the moments he had with his wife, going through all the memories that still seem so vivid to him, as if it all happened yesterday. It's been 4 years since he married Yashika, the love of his life, and this is where he proposed to her on Valentine's Day, in front of the summer hill. There is this place in Shimla at the Kufri Child Road from where one can see the exquisite view of Summer Hill. It's a popular tourist spot where people on their way to Kufri often stop by to take photographs. February 14, 2011. It was a beautiful day, and after spending the night in Shimla, the two were leaving for Kufri, hoping to see some snowfall there. It was Valentine's Day, and Ritvik had planned a candlelight dinner at their hotel in Shimla, so they were going to return before it gets dark. After passing a few kilometers, Ritvik brought the car to a halt. It was the same place where he is standing right now. Yashika looked surprised. She had no idea what's going on. The two stood there face to face. She didn't say anything, but there were questions on her face. And then all of a sudden, he was on his knees with a diamond ring in his hands, asking her to marry him in front of everyone. Yashika was surprised and was completely shaken. This was the most wonderful thing anyone had ever done to her. She couldn't figure out what to do or say. Tears rolled out of her eyes. Say yes, came the voices from behind. And wiping off the tears, she finally said, "Yes, I will." And the two kissed in front of everyone, almost like we see in the movies. Present day. That's why this place has been so special to him. But this time he's alone. It's a full moon night in the month of August, 11:35 p.m., and it's all desolate. But wait, there's something wrong. He doesn't seem okay. He looks thin as a sheet, probably lost at least 10 pounds. His eyes are bloodshot red like he hadn't slept for several nights. He is holding a half-filled bottle of scotch in his left hand and his iPhone in the right one. Scrolling down the pictures of him and Yashika, his eyes get stuck on a picture of them together, which was from his cousin's wedding. It was where they first met, and all of a sudden, he goes back to the time, reliving all those moments again. November 9, 2010. Ritvik was a chief software architect in a leading IT firm, and Yashika was a successful fashion designer. As a matter of fact, Yashika used to be the friend of Tanisha, his cousin, and the two met at Tanisha's wedding eve. Tanisha's father was a wealthy businessman. He owned two 6 BHK flats in Sheket, a 15-acre farmhouse in Jaipur, and a huge mansion in the Greater Kailash where the family lived. For him, money was never important when it is about his children's happiness. Tanisha was his only daughter, and she was marrying a middle-class guy who earned about one-fourth of her father's weekly income. Yet he was happy that his daughter is marrying a man of her choice. The wedding arrangements were lavish. Tanisha's father had paid all the expenses, which were about 25 crores. The Umrah in South Delhi was booked, and it was one hell of a wedding. There were about 10,000 stalls of food alone, desserts and beverages excluded. South Indian, North Indian, Continental, Chinese, Thai, Italian, Mexican, literally everything. And if that's not what you're looking for, there are Russian dancers and American violinists to refresh your mood. The whole banquet was decorated like the set of a big-budget movie. The baraat had already arrived, and everyone were waiting for the bride to come. "There is still time, Tani," Ritik says. "What did you see in the punk anyways? I mean really." Ritik was sitting at the back seat with Tanisha in an Audi Q7 which was taking them to the banquet. "Shut the fuck up, Ritvik. One more word against him and I'll break your nose." Really? Then who would escort you to the stage where your Prince Charming is waiting? Don't worry about that boy. My friends are on their way, and I have other cousins too. And who the hell are you, anyways? I don't need your favor. Oh, come on, don't be so furious with me. Can't I even play with my sister one last time? What do you mean, one last time? Yeah, you're getting married today, and who knows when we will see each other again. Plus, your Prince Charming won't let me make fun of you, right? Are you insane? It's not like I'm making him my bodyguard. I'm making him my husband. And believe me, it's not going to change anything. That's what you think? Let's see. Alright, now will you please shut up? You are making me spoil my makeup, stupid. It's my wedding. Oh my god, your makeup. You must have spent a fortune on this thing to cover your pimples, didn't you? I don't have pimples, you moron. They reach the banquet where they are accompanied by other cousins, friends, and family members. Being a Punjabi household, the family members greeted each other as if they are seeing each other in decades. They were almost ready to head to the stage when a beautiful girl in her 20s suddenly appears. And before anyone else could even notice her coming, Ritvik's eyes caught her sight, and there comes a prompt change in his face expressions. And all of a sudden, everything else looks blurred. The girl looked stunning in a black chiffon saree that she wore, and a beautiful pearl necklace completed the look. As the girl approached, Tanisha breaks her spell, and Ritik recovers from that moment of shock. Ritvik couldn't figure out what to say or do for a while. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Straight silky hair towing little down to her shoulders, bewitching dark brown eyes, abundantly fair complexion, a little mole on the left side of the chin, the one that made her look like Rachel McAdams. Although it won't be fair to compare her with anyone else, she was beautiful just the way she was. Tanisha surged towards the stage along with all the brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends in full traditions. The boys on all four corners juting out flowers and petals that went atop Tanisha, and everyone else escorting her to the stage where the groom was already waiting for her. The romantic instrumental music playing in background made it even more beautiful. Two drone cameras were hovering right in front of her, the ones we usually see in music concerts and cricket matches. The light arrangements are even more astounding. All lights were dimmed except for the ones that lighted up the path followed by Tanisha. The whole path was covered with rose petals. The fragrance of those roses scented up the entire banquet. It was marvelous. You don't even see this kind of weddings in Bollywood movies. But the past few minutes were uncanny for Ritvik. There was a sudden change in his dynamics. His gaze unconditionally followed the sight of that girl. He kept looking at her over and over again, trying his best not to do that, but it seemed inevitable. He also tried his best not to get noticed while staring at her. But just when Tanisha was about to step onto the stage, Yashika turned around a bit and she found out. She caught him staring at her, but she just ignored. But it happened again and again, and all of a sudden Ritik felt so embarrassed. He knew he shouldn't be doing this, but she seemed so hard to ignore. He couldn't figure out why all this was happening. It wasn't like he hadn't dated any beautiful girl before. He had. But this girl, there was something in her. Something was driving him crazy. Maybe it was love, maybe it was just the infatuation. But whatever it was, he knew one thing for sure. He's never going to forget her. But, abased by his own actions, he decides not to see her again. He decides not even to go near her and ignore her in the best possible way. But some things are meant to happen, and there is nothing you can do to avert them. Piri was about to begin, and the gaze of everyone on girl's side was stuck on the shoes of the groom. No, they weren't dirty. Actually, as per traditions, younger relatives of the bride tried to steal the groom's shoes, and then ask for a desired amount of money or gifts in return. Only then the shoes are given back. but the boys' side have to prevent that from happening at any cost. It's sort of a very interesting game, and most of the time the girls' side wins. Piri is probably the best time to steal the shoes, as this is the only occasion throughout the ceremony where both the groom and the bride have to go barefoot. Just as the Piri began and the groom went barefoot, Tanisha's sisters and friends gathered, with their eyes fixed on the shoes that were under strict surveillance by the groom's friends and relatives. Oblivious of such happenings, Ritvik was having a drink with some distant cousin. After a minute or two, the cousin leaves and he stands there alone for a while, and all of a sudden a voice comes from behind. "I have got the shoes." It was some girl. The voice was soft, but it didn't sound familiar to him. He turns around and notices a girl running toward him. Some guys were chasing her. It took him some seconds to figure out that some girl from the bride's side had taken the shoes and she's getting away with them. But it's clear that the groom's friends found out about this, and that's why they're chasing her to get back the shoes before it's too late. But he was little too late when he realized that he's standing in the way, and constantly looking behind, the girl didn't see him standing there either. And what seems obvious, she bumped into him. It is then he finds out that it was Yashika, the girl he has been looking at all time since he first saw her. The two looked into each other's eyes for a little too long. This was the time when Yashika too felt something. Something strange, something unusual, as if it was a dream or something. Who is this guy? Why is he looking at me this way? Why am I thinking about this guy ever since I saw him? And now this. What's happening around? All these questions were spinning inside her head. On the spur of moments, there were voices from behind, supposedly of the ones from the groom's side who were chasing the girl running away with the shoes. "Forget it, babes," some girl said. "They are gone, you should have been more alert." "Ah, just take a hike." And the other one replied, "Come on, let's get back there anyways." The voices receded and vanished eventually, leaving the two with ephemeral silence. Ritik and Yashika couldn't take their eyes off each other until some girl appears out of the blues and breaks a spell. "There you are," she says, pointing towards Yashika. "Oh, wow," she says to them both. "I'm afraid you two really need to get dried up unless you've got some other dress to wear." It is then they realize they are both wet, for the drink that Ritik was holding got spilled over their attires. "Holy shit," Yashika exclaims. "What am I going to do now?" "Ah, don't worry," the other girl says. "It's gonna be fine, just head to the washroom over there, wash it out a bit, and it'll dry out in no time. And I'm really sorry for this," he says to Yashika. "I didn't see you coming this way." No, it was all my fault actually," she says almost instantly, sounding lenient. "I should have been more careful." "Wow, I see you already met my friend Yashika. You two get along pretty well, I see." She laughs. "Bus off, Swati," says Yashika. "I can take care of myself." All right, she says while leaving. "I leave you to lovebirds alone." "Shut the hell up," Yashika screams. "I'm sorry about her," she says to Ritvik. She doesn't know what she's saying. That figures," he laughs. After cleaning out the stains caused by the spilled champagne, Ritik and Yashika met again at the gigantic dinner table that served 40 people at a time. It was just after Piri when a huge dinner table was set in a colossal pavilion for all the close relatives, including the bride and the groom. It was astounding. It looked like a royal dinner that was being served in a palace. It all looked fairly traditional. The dishes were served by over a dozen butlers who wore a golden-colored turban and a royal attire. The dishes were served in gold-plated thalis. There were more than 10,000 different dishes from different countries. But the royal dinner for special guests were in typical Punjabi style, which seemed rather odd but still pretty. Some foreign musicians were playing soothing romantic songs. There were three female violinists, a bald and a bearded keyboard player, two more guitarists, and a man and a woman on lead vocals. But all this hardly aroused Yashika and Ritvik, who finally sat together at the dinner table. They finally got to talking and talked endlessly for all the time they spent together. Ritvik told her about his job and how he ended up being an engineer when he actually wanted to be a writer. He told her that he wants to take a long break from work and travel around the world someday. Yashika told him about the college days. She told him how Tanisha and Ashish met for the first time. She told him how Tanisha humiliated him in front of everyone when she first met him, only to fall in love with him later. She told him about a mad lover of hers who had proposed to her at least a dozen times until she finally sat with him one fine morning and made him realize that they weren't made for each other, after which he never bothered her again. The musicians played numerous classic western hit numbers like Every Breath You Take, My Heart Will Go On, Don't Let You Go, I'm Alive, We Found Love, Crazy in Love, Hero and Endless Love, etc. But then all of a sudden, the man on the vocals started singing a hit Bollywood number in a weird accent. It was Kaho Na Pyare from a 2001 super hit movie of the same name. It spouted a jovial tide among everyone and transformed many serious faces into elated ones. Some smiled with joy while some laughed at the weird accent of the singer. This is when Ritvik's real sister Bhumi, who sat just across them, took their photograph. Their first photograph together. It was this photograph that he treasured for the rest of his life. He remembered how he quarreled with Bhumi to get that photograph after coming back home from the wedding, who teased him badly. Present day. It's the same photograph that he's looking at with those bloodshot eyes. His face is wet with the tears and sweat. He places the empty bottle aside and takes a step further and looks down the mountain for a while. He was about to take a plunge. The holocaust was about to take place. But a firm masculine voice interrupts him, which drives his attention. What the hell do you think you're doing, man? A man, apparently in his 30s, appears out of the blues. Have you gone mad? He says. God knows what would have happened if I hadn't arrived. The man continues to blare at him for some time, while Ritvik doesn't say a word. The man notices how drunk he is to speak, so he pulls him back and helps him sit at the gravel area. It's alright, man, he says. There is nothing to worry about. I'm a friend, you can trust me. My name is Viraj, by the way. He extends his hand towards Ritvik, which he doesn't even see. What's wrong, man? He asks again. What you are doing was wrong. We all have problems, but this is not the solution. Did you ever think about your family? Your mother, your father? Did you even think about your kids, your wife? Your wife, just think about her for a while. How would she be able to live without you? Did you ever think about that? My wife, Ritvik exhales. My wife. Yes, your wife, what? The man asks. Is she alright, mate? My wife. Ritvik exhales again. My wife is dead.